Hi folks, welcome to the next edition of Let's Play AGEOD's Civil War. I screwed up again last time. I recorded the video and the audio didn't record because of my own bonehead mistake. So here I'll play the silent movie I just filmed and redub the audio over it. So here I go. So, I'm trying to remember from a couple turns ago where we were. We still had units streaming into Washington, D.C. In preparation for making a whole bunch of divisions there. Many of them have arrived, but we still have some heading there. We still have some heading to Louisville. Let's see. I don't know what I'm pointing out there, to be honest. So we've taken Harrisburg. We have some broken rails still in this area. Kearny's Corps is still tired. So I believe what I do is, I have Kearny's Corps rebuild the rails there. And that Confederate force is still hanging out there. Hopefully he's pretty beat up and tired. He's sitting in the mountains in the snow. So I'll leave him be for the moment, hoping that he'll retreat south at some point. But he may sit there. We'll find out what he does. And I believe I take the other two corps, and I move them off towards Jersey City. And I railroad them. That's Erasmus Keyes' corps and Crittenden's corps. This is in preparation for us trying to take New York City back. And I move McDowell over there too. He has two divisions under him, and he's the army leader, so I want him in the area. So I'm moving everybody over to Jersey City, hoping to head towards New York soon. With those two corps and McDowell with his two divisions. And I think I'm saying here that I'm comfortable doing that. I'm sending a lot of troops to New York because soon I'll have a whole lot of divisions in Washington, D.C. to help with the defenses there. I still have 4 divisions sitting in Washington, D.C. So I don't think I'll lose it in the near future, but soon I'll have a whole lot more. Finally, I'm sending a cavalry unit up there into Pennsylvania to fix some of those rails. I'd also need to fix the rail in the area where that Confederate force is, but I don't want to send anybody there to fix that rail quite yet while he's sitting there. I may send Kearny in that direction once Harrisburg's rail has been fixed and Kearny's been rested up. We'll see. We'll see what I do next. But yeah, I'm still talking about fixing rails. I don't know what takes me so long. I must ramble. Here in Kentucky, there's not much going on. I'm still just gathering the troops there to make new divisions. Nothing going on in Missouri. I think there's that small force. It looks like Sumner's not activated. So keep an eye on that cavalry unit. May send Sumner after him soon. Ah, yes. Here in sort of Kansas, we have a new force just popped up that includes some Indian units who are fighting on our side under James Blunt. Now, the Confederates have been moving up the edge of the map and taking a lot of these little towns in this area, so I think I'm going to use Blunt. He's not active right now, but I'm going to use him to try to take some of these little towns back and push the Confederates back here in the hinterlands. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Try to take some of these back, and down there into, down the edge of the map there. Okay, so down here in Mississippi, we have some trouble. Remember, we lost Little Rock. So Lyon, he's still moving through the swamp. It looks like it'll take him a good 4 turns to move to the next region. So, and his supply wagons are pretty low. So I'm sending one of Hooker's supply wagons in that direction to meet him. Hopefully, that supply wagon, it'll arrive and meet him there. It'll be full, and Lyon will be able to eat out of that wagon for a while if he has to. You could see the supply situation. Lyon needs to make it down toward Jackson before he starts pulling supply from Jackson. So we need to get him moving. Not much else we can do. We keep him walking forward. And down here in New Orleans, things are looking fairly safe so far. There seems to be some Confederate units in the area. So here you go. I pause it and I do the inner turn. During the inner turn, I lied. Before I said we had already lost Little Rock, but that didn't happen until this turn. So first it started with a victory on our side with about even casualties, give or take. So we held on to it for the moment. But you'll see in a second You'll see in a second. There it is. They attacked again, and we lost Little Rock. Our little force there got destroyed. So Little Rock is now in Confederate hands, and that might mean difficulties for Lyon. We got really well routed here. The Confederates only lost 61 men, and we lost our entire force, over 1,000 men. So that's no good for us. But anyway, that's what happened. So we pause again, and here we are in the next turn. Now, let's see what's going on here. McDowell has arrived in Jersey City, but the other two corps I sent in that direction, Keyes and Crittenden, they haven't arrived yet. It looks like we've finished fixing the rail in Harrisburg, so I'm going to take Kearney and move him towards that Confederate force to try to push him out of there because he's still sitting there. And then I can get the rail in that area fixed. So that's the plan with him. Yeah, and I think I'm saying that after having Kearney push that guy out and fix that rail, I can finally send Kearney back down to the Harper's Ferry area to defend over there. A lot of units have arrived here. There's still a few more trickling in, so I believe I wait till next turn to make all the new divisions there. The fleet under Farragut finally made it to Brooklyn to pick up all the troops there, so I have them floating off to Washington, D.C. Those are going to be key components of my divisions I'm going to build there. Here in Kentucky, not much is going on except troops are still streaming in to Louisville. It's where I'll put together all my new forces there in a couple turns. Nothing going on in Missouri. Blunt is still heading off towards that small town there, Kiowa, which is, I believe, in Kansas, or I'm not exactly sure. And we got a new Indian unit popped up, so I'm going to join him to Blunt's force. Down here in Mississippi, we've just lost Little Rock, so Lyon is his supply line from behind has now been cut. So he's going to have to rely on supplies coming from Jackson. He's going to have to get through the swamp as fast as we can push him through. So clicking on Lyon, it looks like it'll now take him 51 days to get to the next region because not only is he moving through swamp, but the weather is mud. It's just about as bad as it gets as far for travel is concerned. But that wagon will reach him in one more turn, and it's pretty full. So Lyon will be able to eat, his troops will be able to eat for the short term. And I take another supply wagon from Hooker, and I'm sending it off towards Lyon as well because I really hate to lose Lyon's force here in the swamps from starvation. So I'm doing the best I can to get him through. And we just need to keep Lyon moving forward. If you hover over him, I don't know if you saw that briefly, but his cohesion is just about down to nothing. His troops can't fight worth anything right now. They're going to need quite a rest when they finally make it to Jackson. Yeah, you see his cohesion's down to something like 6, and it's going to keep going down as he continues to march through the swamp. So we just need to push him through best we can. Keep him marching. So here I'll pause it, and I believe we pop up in the next turn. Oh, during the inner turn, Kearney's men descended on that force in Pennsylvania, and there weren't many of them. We won a victory. We actually took more casualties than they did, but took a lot of prisoners. So I think this force, it was either destroyed or there's nothing much left of it. All right, so here we are on the next turn. It looks like that Confederate force is still alive up there. So during the inner turn, I went ahead and made all these divisions. So now we have a huge stack of divisions sitting in Washington, D.C., ready to be deployed. Since I just now created them all, I'm going to give them one turn break before we actually organize them into corps and deploy them in places. Same thing goes for here in Kentucky. I put together all those new divisions. So that's sum total, I believe, of 14 new divisions we have to play with in those two theaters of the war. Now, yeah, next thing I'm pointing out is, throughout the game, I've been creating new Army HQ units, and I'm finally sending them off to places where I think it'll be useful. What I'm doing is I'd like to replace McDowell in the East, ultimately. McDowell's stats are a 2-2-2. I'd like to replace him with Rosecrans, who's a 3-2-3. Only a bit better, but still better. Buell's a 2-2-2, so he's no better than McDowell, really. So I'm sending Rosecrans and Buell back to Washington, D.C., And I'm sending 3 Army HQ units all around the map. I'm sending one down to, here we go, down to Fort Monroe to join Ben Butler. He's a pretty senior 3-star. Sending one up here to Nathaniel Banks in Albany, who's been sitting there since the disaster in New York City. And I'm sending one here to join Fremont. All of these are 3-star generals who are senior to Rosecrans. I want to give them Army HQs so that when I give one to Rosecrans, those guys won't complain because they're heading armies too. But those guys, Banks, Fremont, I'm not going to give them any troops. I'm just going to give them Army headquarters and then have them sit and do nothing. While Rosecrans, who I eventually give an army to, uh, I'll have him actually lead troops. The whole point of this is to make sure we don't lose any victory points in morale when we give Rosecrans an army. We need to give all the senior guys armies first so they can't complain. Now, on to movements. I'm taking these 2 corps in Jersey City and moving them up to Peekskill, crossing the Hudson so they can attack New York from the north. Looks like Stonewall Jackson is besieging Winchester, and I'll leave him to do that from now. I could take some of these troops and try to push them out now, but we'll try to do that in a turn or two. I'm not too concerned about losing Winchester in the short term. Not much going on in Missouri and Kentucky, and in Mississippi, Lion is still walking through the swamp, and the weather is still mud, so it's now going to take him 68 days to move from this one region to the next. Now that's a long time. Hopefully the weather will clear up, and it won't actually take him 68 days. So he managed to get the supply unit from Hooker, so that's a full supply wagon, so he can eat out of that for a while if he has to. And I have that other supply unit moving his way. So hopefully we'll keep him fed as he walks through. Finally, we have a Division Plus down here under Hardy, and he looks like he wants to make trouble in this area. We have this one division in Springfield to defend. And we do have troops up that railroad to the north that we can pull down quickly if we have to. All right, so here I go ahead and end this turn. Here's the next turn. And it looks like this Confederate stack down here in New Orleans wants to cause trouble. It actually bypassed New Orleans somehow and is besieging Fort Pike. So we'll probably have to pull troops down to handle him pretty soon. All right, that's the end of this video. Hopefully in the next one I won't screw up and forget the audio. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.